Welcome back, guys. In my last video, I promised you that I'm going to bring you a more optimistic video regarding the fate and the future of Islam. Can it coexist with Western values, European values, American values? And boy, that's a tough question. And I said there's a slight chance, but in this video, that is the slight chance that I'm talking about. So without further ado, let's jump into the video and then we can discuss it.
אין, אני לא יכול לתאר את לואי השריף, מעבר לזה שהוא משפיען רשת, ושהוא לוחם אמיץ, וגיבור, ואחד המבינים הגדולים לדעתי באסלאם לצד השפוי. אז לואי השריף, חביבי, אתה איתנו?
כן, אני פה, רגע.
איזה יופי, איזה עברית, עכשיו, הופה. אז אני רק אגיד עליך, לואי, שאתה לוחם בזירות בינלאומיות, ואתה מסביר את השיח האסלאמי לאנשים. אתה אמרת, רגע, לבחור מוסלמי, אתה קוראים לך סולומון, אז אתה מכיר בעצם בסיפור של היהודים. האסלאם הפופולרי לא מספר את הסיפור של היהודים.
אני מסכים איתך.
Just a little breakout. Loay is a proud Muslim who is living in the Emirates, and he is a big advocate for coexistence between Jews, Christians, Muslims, and a very rare but such an important voice nowadays. And these are the kind of voices we need to amplify. Now listen what he's saying.
מסכים איתך. I try to explain to so many of my fellow Muslims a lot of similarities, but they are not very open-minded to understand.
Loay, don't you afraid? What give you the power to say such a brave things? מה נותן לך את הכוח? מה נותן את האומץ הזה?
השם, ברוך השם.
וואו.
וכמו שאמר השם ליהושע בן נון, הלא צוותיך, חזק ואמץ, אל תערוס ואל תחת, כי עמך אדוני אלוהיך, בכל אשר תלך. השם אמר לי, הלא צוותיך, חזק ואמץ, אל תערוס ואל תחת, כי עמך אדוני אלוהיך, בכל אשר תלך.
וואו, לא, אתה מה זה מרגש אותי, לשמוע דבר, עזוב, אני לא...
אינשאללה, ונתראה בקרוב בישראל, חביבי אצלי, ושלח אהבה מכל לבי למדינת ישראל ולירושלים, ואינשאללה נתראה בקרוב, אינשאללה בעזרת השם.
תודה רבה, שיהיה לך נסיעה טובה ובשורות טובות.
By the way, the guy's interviewing him is a very famous Jewish Israeli journalist who I believe was a Mistarev. That's like a special unit that they go undercover among Arabs and they, do whatever needs to be done. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. You see, Loay, in my eyes, is representing where Islam should go. Unfortunately, right now, the majority of Islam in the world is not going that way. It's going a very different way. And that is the way of the original Quran and the Prophet Muhammad and the other warlords that were around him. And let me explain. Islam started basically as a very war-oriented, very violent religion, which its goal was to plunder, get bigger, and get a lot of riches for its warlords. And through that also use religion to take control over the world. And that's what they were doing. They were expanding so fast, and they even made rules to make it easier for them to expand. You are to kill anyone who doesn't agree with you. You are to force Sharia and jihad and the faith of Islam on anyone. And if they accept it, it's okay. If they don't, unless they're Jews or Christians, they're to be killed. But Jews or Christians can still stay there and live under very humiliating rules and taxation until they just give up and they kind of decide to join you. And if not, you basically make them a slave. So it was a very war-oriented propaganda machine that was taking over the world, enslaving everything in its way, and killing and plundering and letting its warlords have as many women as they want. And also the women that they will take, no one is asking them. Basically, if you're a Muslim man, you go and you kill the man, and then you take the woman, and they become Muslims the moment that you have intercourses with them, forcefully even, and they become a Muslim. Now, further, to make it even harder to leave Islam and to keep expanding, once you become a Muslim, you cannot leave. If you leave Islam, you are sentenced to death. This is proper Quran, and even the child who was born, if he chooses one day, hey, listen, I was born to this, but I don't want this, kill him. He's a kuffar, he's an infidel. You should not let him leave Islam. And the whole idea of Islam was to expand and take over the world. They even called it, they didn't call conquering, they called futuh. Why? Because the world is in darkness and futuh is opening. So you're opening the darkness of the world with the light of Islam. You're bringing them to the light of Islam. And that didn't change. That didn't change until today. Most Muslims in the world believe in that way of Islam. And as long as they believe in that, can't coexist with Christianity, with Judaism, with atheism, with anything, because its goal is literally we're going to take over, and if not, we're going to do anything we can to make you crumble from within so we can take over, and that's what they're trying to do in Europe. So for Islam to actually be able to coexist and live with the West, they have to do a reform from inside and change their ways so they're not the same as they were in the past. Now, that might sound crazy to you, but look, Judaism did it. Christianity did it. Today, you don't have any more crusades. Judaism, if you look at the book, he mentioned Joshua, okay? That is one of the most gory stories from the Bible. God came and told Yeshua ben Nun to go and take over the land. And because there were idol worshippers and evil people in the land, the command was, go there, gather all these people, kill them all, men, women, and children, and only when you cleanse this land, which is basically a genocide, only then the Jews can live in that land. Now, a lot of Jews or, I don't know, Christians might get angry at me, but I'm just reading the Bible for you right now, or kind of quoting what I understand from the Bible. You feel free to go and correct me. When you think about it, so the Jews went and conquered the land, and the men in that land came and fought them, evil as they may be. And when they defeated these men, you know who was hiding, probably, right? The women and the children. So then the soldiers of Joshua went in and dragged them all, and they're probably hiding in the closet, under the bed, grabbed them from the hair, dragged them outside. And what did they do? By the command of God, the Bible, they executed them. People tend to ignore that part of the Bible, because especially Christians nowadays, because, you know, Christianity took a very peaceful turn the other cheek, love your enemy, and they don't know how to fathom what happened there. So there's a lot of theologies going to explain it, and there's a lot of, you can call it mental backflips or very clever theologies or understandings to help explain what happened there and how evil these people were and how necessary it was to actually create, the nation that God intended for the Jews, which was a good nation, and some people had to go and do the dirty work. We have a great example of King David. King David wanted to build a temple, and God told him, you can't build a temple because you have blood on your hand. You did your job as a warrior, as a fighter, to build this nation, to establish it, to build Jerusalem, but I cannot let you. I'm going to let your son Solomon, because he's pure. He never killed anyone, and then God granted Solomon the best wish of all, and he made the smartest man in the world. Apparently he was not that smart, because he married too many women, and that brought a lot of problems to his head. So anyway, don't want to anger anyone here, but I think one man should marry one woman. I think that's more than enough, and you're just calling for trouble. Anyway, back to the story. Let's not sidetrack here. Christianity and Judaism had a very interesting past. Some of them were very dark. When it comes to Christianity, it was not so much, rooted in theology, but it was more the church interpreting in the way that they want to promote their own political and global agendas. But they both reformed, and they reached the level that they are today, which they both are very peaceful, very successful religions. Hence is why most of the science innovation and most of the human rights, values and activities and virtues are coming from Christian countries and Jewish countries. How many Nobel Prizes have the Jews brought to the world? How many scientific advancements the Jews and the Christians have brought to the world and are still bringing me? How many humanitarian aid is coming out of Jewish and Christian world? Every time there's an earthquake anywhere around the world, Israel is one of the first ones to send responders to go and take care of it. America, especially the church in America, is involved in so much activities of humanitarian work, educational work all around the globe, with hospitals, with schools, and etc. How many is Islam doing? Almost none. And why is that? Because they still are in the same mentality of conquering the world, not of making the world better, but making the world better the way they see it better. And that's why they're trying to infiltrate everywhere they can with any means they can, by force, by might, by immigration, by birthright, and etc., taking advantage of democracy to bring down democracy. And as long as Islam remains in that formula, you just can't coexist with it. You can't. Because if you do, it will take you over. That's literally their goal. You're bringing a team of men into your house that have clear agenda to take the man down, enslave his wife and his children, and convert them. That is literally what they are trying to do. And anyone who tries to tell you otherwise is either a useful idiot or just a bystander who's just very uncomfortable with admitting it, but that's the reality. Or he's just very evil and he's hiding it from you. But if Islam would start going in the path of people like Loay, the path of people like the Emirate, for example, and others, and start saying, okay, guys, let's wake up. Let's smell the hummus. Let's see, okay, we're living in the 21st century. We have rockets that are about to reach Mars. We're going to go colonize Mars. We have advanced, we have medics, and we have the internet, we have chat GPT. The world have changed from the time of these warlord riders that were going out from one Bedouin tent to another and just plunging and killing anything in their way and making it their slaves. This is not the way to move forward. Now we're exposed to a much better and different way of life that is good for everyone, and we need to change ourselves from inside. If Islam starts changing, and the first thing they need to change is they need to agree fundamentally from the core value of that religion that other religions can live peacefully under them. Not can, must, and should. Anyone, and even people who don't believe like they do, should be protected by law. The moment that Islam will do that transformation and will seal it, enforce it in the religion, in the government, in the laws, that's when you'll start seeing Islam moving forward. The challenge for Islam to do that, and that is something very interesting, and I studied that when I was studying Islamic history in university by a Muslim professor. He was telling everybody, there was a class about the problem of Islam. What is the problem with Islam? Why is it not succeeding financially, human rights, socially, military-wise, etc.? What's the problem? Why is it so much terrorism coming out of Islam? So they tried to tackle that question with an academic kind of glasses, and he was taking the whole, it was like several classes, all the time talking about colonialism, talking about economy, oil, talking about how the Western civilization mistreated Islam, how the West abused Islam, etc., etc. Everything under the sun except from actually tackling the main serious problem, which is in Islam. And I came to him one day and I told him, Ya Ammi, ya professor, I'm an Arab, you're an Arab. We both know that you're lying to these people. This is not true. And he told me, what do you mean? And I said, we both know that this is a religious war. That's why one side see it purely religious, and you're telling the other side that the problem is not in religion. The problem is anything else, economy, geography, I don't know. And he looked at me, and he took a breath, and he smiled kind of, and he said, you're right. We both know that. But we can't say it. And I said, why can't we say it? This is the truth. You should be telling your students the truth. And he told me, well, you see, we as the academia, the moment that it will admit that, we just lost our job. There's nothing we can do. Why am I even teaching them? There's no way for peace because this is a religious war. It's us or them, nothing. And there's a God above that tells them what to do. And he's more important than anything that we say. So we're trying to push the narrative towards another narrative, and hopefully it will catch and it will create a change through that. So I don't think that his motives were bad. But I think that his way of addressing it was very, very, bad, wrong, and unhelpful because you're ignoring the problem. There is someone in your neighborhood, walking in your backyard or in your house who wanna kill you. And you can't come and try making excuse about it or want to take over you, destroy you, and start a new way of life that he thinks, which is a very primitive way of life. Then I actually offered of writing my thesis about something. He told me, if you do that, I'm going to kick you out of the class. And that's maybe a story for another time. But long story short, as long as Islam doesn't do a fundamental change in the core values and rules and principles in their own religion and start pushing it from inside out and start enforcing it among all the Muslims around the world, that this is the way to move forward, which is the way of freedom, tolerance, coexistence, and not only we are going to be the carrier of the torch of human rights, of innovation, of science. We're going to go and protect all these minorities. That's when you'll see Islam changing, and that's when you'll start seeing peace with Islam. But until then, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. And like I said, there's a very slight chance for it to happen. But if anything, we are the people in the West, we should start amplify voices like Loay, voices like people coming from Islam who want to push Islam to a better future, and stop amplifying radical voices like the pro-Palestine, like the radical jihad, Muslim Brotherhood, Iran, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and all these crazy people, Syria, because that's not the way. And they're not victims. Trust me, the only victims in Islam are actually Muslims. Either the ones who are creating the evil stuff that they're doing, or the ones that are suffering under them. They're not the victim of the West. Stop listening to that nonsense. We should let them fix their own cow poop and then come to us and show us, hey guys, okay, Actually, yeah, that can work. If you ask me, the West should completely detach because it's borderline criminal what is happening it's criminal what is happening in Muslim world, and the West should come and say this is unacceptable. You can't come to us with this kind of mentality. So sorry. And then after a few years, you come back, you look, okay, let's see. Oh, they're still stoning women. They're still throwing gay people out of rooftops. They're still calling for jihad. They still want to destroy and genocide the Jews. Sorry, guys, you're not ready. Don't come to us. Keep working on your own cow poop, camel poop. Fix that. Come to us. After 10, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. Oh, wow, look at that. They have science school and art school. There is a dance group for girls who are going performing all around, the country. There's people there that are religious, non-religious, atheists, different religions, Jews, Christians, other minorities, Hindu, Buddhists. Wow, this is insane. This is beautiful. Look what they're doing. That's amazing. Well, let's open the gates. Welcome. Tfaddalu habibi. Come to Germany. That's when you should actually do that. But until then, you shouldn't welcome these kind of people into your countries. Unless they're Loay. He's super cool. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you find it beneficial, leave comments, share things with me. I always do my best to answer these things. If you want to find a direct way to help this channel, first of all, do the like, subscribe, and share. Help me reach more audience, help this channel grow. After all, this is my work right now, and that's my bread and butter. That's how I'm making a living. If you want to find a direct way to help this channel grow, also go to my Patreon where you can find direct practical ways to help me keep growing this. But until then, guys, don't do anything stupid in general. Just don't do anything that I would do. Stay safe. See you next time.